Welcome everybody, and today we're taking a look at another film in the Universal Horror Monsters and Curiosities box set from Umbrella Entertainment, and it is 1959's Curse of the Undead. This is directed by Edward Dean, who the only other film I've seen from him is The Leech Woman, which is actually the second and final film on the same disc as this one. And yeah, it's a gothic western clocking in at 79 minutes long. Stars the likes of Eric Fleming, who was in Queen of Outer Space and Conquest of Space. Michael Partey, who was in, I've seen in 10 other films, in fact, without me even really realising it, as he was in the 1962 version of Tower of London, which is superior to the 1939 version, which is included in this box set, as well as The Black Castle, The Strange Door, both of which starred Boris Karloff, and The Maze. Then you got Kathleen Crowley, who was in Target Earth. And finally, John Hoyt, who I've seen in 12 other films. He was also in The Black Castle, as well as X, The Man with the X-Ray Eyes, When Worlds Collide, Attack of the Puppet People, and The Time Travelers. So a mysterious epidemic has struck an old west frontier town and young girls are falling deathly ill. Doc Carter, his lovely daughter Dolores, and preacher Dan Young have their hands full caring for the infirm. When one of their patients dies unexpectedly, Dan notices two puncture wounds on her neck. His investigation leads him to the strange gunslinger Drake Roby, who also seems to be slower on the draw than his opponents, but who, despite being outdrawn and even shot at, always seems somehow manages to survive these deadly encounters. My cat is currently disturbing me. So yeah, this is, as far as I'm aware, the first instance of a western being merged with the horror genre, albeit a more about the atmosphere than any real kind of violence. But this was still an engaging enough of a film despite some issues. One issue being that this doesn't seem to want to commit to the horror genre in any meaningful way, as there isn't much tension, and it's also due to the fact that when it comes to the villain and the lore of his kind, it doesn't really go far enough. So even though he says at one point he is, you know, painfully aware that sunlight can hurt him and even kill him, there are seemingly several scenes where he is in broad daylight. So yeah, I just don't feel like it's taking that part all that seriously. Now it could be that the sunlight just weakens him, but that's never really emphasised, quite frankly. And on top of all of that, the score doesn't fit the mood of the film either. It feels more like it's been written from a sci-fi film with its theremin and such. So yeah, can't really recommend it on those two fronts. But that said, the cast is good, the pacing is on point, the atmosphere is solid, it is well shot, the character interactions are decent, the production is overall convincing, and the conclusion is well done. Plus, I do obviously like the fact that it is a western merged with the horror genre. But yeah, it's only going to get a 3 out of 5, much like a few of the previous releases that we've looked at in this box set. And it's the first film in the Supernatural Shockers Part 2 disc, which, like I said, also has Leech Woman from the same director. So, yeah, it's also in the 137:1 aspect ratio, black and white, 2.0 DTS HD MA audio, 1080p high definition presentation, looks and sounds perfectly good. English language soundtrack and English subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing. So, yeah, by no means a great effort, but I can at least respect it for trying something different, especially with the horror and western genres. So, those are elements of positives, but ultimately, it's just a horror genre that isn't gone far enough to really take advantage of the plot synopsis. So, yeah, so that's the kind of film that I feel would really, really benefit from a remake, to really go far with the horror genre while also having the production and setting of a western. But nonetheless, though, if you have seen Curse of the Undead, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.